In this video, I'm going to reveal some of the most dangerously genius, mind-blowing mix tricks you've probably never seen, including one shockingly brilliant one that breaks all the rules of conventional mixing. Starting with the mix trick from humanity's last breath guitar player and the mixer behind records from artists like Oceano, Born of Osiris, and countless others, Buster Oldenholm. Buster revealed in a mix breakdown a trick that utilizes polarity wizardry. For this trick, you can either create an aux send on the snare bus or duplicate the bus. Then with an EQ, you'll filter out the top end and the low end, and then flip the phase on the EQ plugin. Make sure to bring this track all the way down, and then while the mix is playing, blend it back into the mix to get the bottom end of the snare just right. But caution, if you go too far, you'll wreck your snare tone completely. This gives Buster the ability to fine-tune the low end instead of reaching for an EQ. And then depending on the section of the song, he can back it off just a little bit to get more low end or push it forward to get a little bit less low end. And another way mixers get huge sounding drums in a mix is using a little thing called, are you ready for it? Compression. And yes, we've all seen hundreds of videos on how to create parallel compression tracks to get punchier drums. But there is one style of compression that is hardly spoken about. This style of compression can be a powerful way to get thunderous sounding room tracks that make the entire drum kit sound larger than life. It's also dangerous as and in a blink of an eye create a ton of problems in a mix. But negative compression sounds bloody brilliant on room tracks.
Wait, what the is negative compression?
So glad you asked. Negative compression is when the ratio creates a dip on the threshold, followed by a steep incline. It's basically pushing the audio down really fast, then letting it go. Sort of like when you pull to start a lawnmower. What the?
Hey, shut up! You shut up!
Wave C1 offers a feature to let you have negative compression, but my favorite plugin to utilize negative compression is actually MicDSP's 6060 Ultimate Module Collection. It's a digital 5-slot 500 series rack plugin, and like some 500 series racks, you can split it into a path A and a path B and blend the signals back in together. And what I like doing is using either the EZ-C compressor or the SST78 compressor and putting them into negative feedback mode on the A path. Then on the B path, adding a normal compressor but with feed-forward compression and distortion. Splitting the signal is going to give you a crazy pump, in combination with a really slappy compressed distortion sound that creates an explosive drum sound that when thrown into a dense rock mix can really create an excitement that brings the track to life. Now this next one is freaking great at helping getting tracks more presence in a mix, especially the part of mix everyone struggles with, the low end. The mixer behind records from bands like Amity Affliction and Lamb of God, Machine the Producer, has a trick that is as straightforward as it gets. But to get this to work, you need to create a duplicate of your mix bus. The output of your main mix bus and the output of the duplicate mix bus will both go to your master output. Mix bus A will have all your normal processing on it, while mix bus B will have no processing on it. This gives Machine the flexibility to route some of the tracks outside of the path of the mix bus. This opens up the possibilities for adding back in more low end that isn't affected by the mix bus processing. But be warned, what Machine calls the inside-outside mix bus technique only enhances what is already sounding great in a mix. If your low end is not in check in the first place, this is going to wreck your mix's clarity and won't be the exact saving grace you hope it is.
All right, you're making it worse now.
So I think we can all agree that we all love Canada's prized rock band and all of our secret guilty pleasure band, Nickelback.
Look at this mouth!
And no surprise that their longtime producer and mixer, who's also worked with artists like Daughtry and Avril Lavigne, producer-mixer Chris Basford, has a dangerously genius trick up his sleeve to gain his staple radio rock mix sound. Chris's trick to a big rock mix uses one plugin on his mix bus that he swears is amazing in bringing a mix together, but also has this to say.
Here's another awesome plugin, the Vitalizer. You can get the big fake wide thing. You can like give yourself like the big bottom end boost. You can give yourself like the really hyped top end. I've done some mixes where if you turned this thing off, you wouldn't pay me $50 to do what you were hearing.
Yeah. I think I want my money back.
And then when you turn that on, you're like, "F***ing song sounded great on the radio yesterday." This you can get carried away with and wreck your fast. Be careful. A little goes a long way.
SPL's Vitalizer can be your mix's own Achilles heel if you're not careful. But another interestingly genius and dangerous way to use it, other than the mix bus, is something I picked up from Tesseract guitar player and mixer Akil Khani. Akil uses the SPL Vitalizer on both the kick bus and the bass bus to get each instrument to play more nicely off each other. Akil likes to have the kick bus instance of SPL's Vitalizer bass setting set to around the 3 o'clock position, and the bass bus instance of SPL's Vitalizer set to about the 9 o'clock position. Akil said that this helps him marry the two instruments together more musically, but also like Chris, cautions to be careful when using Vitalizer because a little goes a long, long way.
Once you're done with that, my good man, could you just pipe it straight into my mouth? Without hesitation, sir.
And this next trick from legendary mixer Andrew Sheps is both part brilliance and disaster waiting to happen. In a behind-the-scenes look at a recent mix, Andrew spoke about how he no longer enjoys the use of bus compression on his mix's mix bus, but did find himself missing the glue sound compression injects into a mix. So his thought process was this: what can I use that will make things get a little messier and livelier? Is that even a word? This liveliness might be what glues things together. And then, just like when the apple dropped on Isaac Newton's head for that aha moment, Andrew thought, hey, reverb does that. And after shooting out several different reverbs, Andrew found himself drawn to the results he would get from a reverb that emulates the Hansa Studio in Berlin, where artists like David Bowie and Iggy Pop made a few of their most memorable records with producer Tony Visconti, which is where the T in Eventide's T-verb comes from. Look at that, I snuck a little history lesson in there without you falling asleep, and you loved it. So the trick is to throw T-verb on the mix bus at the last insert before your limiter. And with the default setting, adjust the mix control to live anywhere between 2 and 15% max. Any more of this particular reverb, and you risk destroying your mix and the glue sound it's introducing. You might also have to automate the level amount of this reverb based on the part of the song to add more or less of it. And Andrew notes that if you have a song that has a hard stop, you'll need to automate it off right away. And to also be wary of the level increase the plugin will introduce. But these are just a few of the most genius mix tricks you've probably never seen before. And you'll want to watch this video right here to get the inside scoop on some of the stupidly genius mix tricks you'll want to start using in your mixes right away.